Hey everyone, so we're gonna do a little bit behind the scenes today, and we're gonna take a look inside a tack trunk. It's not really a tack trunk, this is more of a necessities trunk that you need at a farm. And we're going to start with one of the most necessary things that everybody should have on hand. This is called bute, okay? It's technically called phenylbutazone, but it's known commonly as bute. Very common for horses. It is a painkiller, and I always make sure I have a bottle of bute on hand. It comes in a powder form or it comes in a pill form. This particular one is in pill form. That is 1 gram of bute, okay? Now you can mix this with your horse's feed if they're not the type that will kind of spit it out, but if they are the ones that'll spit it out, you can just get it in powder format and you can give it to them that way. So I always keep bute on hand at the farm, just in case, like if they get a cut or they're sore or they get a stone bruise or whatever. I make sure that I've got a painkiller on hand. And horses are always getting into some crazy stuff, so yeah, I always make sure that I have that on hand. Another thing I always make sure that I have is some type of thrush medication, okay? This is called No Thrush. It's a powder. They sell it at Tractor Supply. But it's also great for scratches, mud fever, rain rot, and just general maintenance. But what this does is if your horse gets thrush in their hoof, you just dump the powder. Well, you clean the hoof, you dump the powder in there, and it helps to clean out all that nasty thrush and that bacteria. So I really like this stuff. I've also used it on rain rot, and it clears it up really fast. So I love this product, No Thrush. I do keep that on hand at all times. This is just more this is for Shakespeare. I keep Equiox on hand because he does have some arthritis in his back legs, so he gets 1 pill a day, but not everybody would need this at all. I just happen to have it for him because that is his condition. I do keep a curry comb or a shedding blade on hand, of course, at all times, in case they need that, which obviously they do need it, especially this time of year. You also want to keep your brushes, you know, your regular like bristle brushes on hand. I've got some eye medication on hand for them as well. This is neomycin, and this is in case they poke their eye, they get an infection in their eye, whatever, and you need to administer the ointment. I always try to make sure I have that on hand. Obviously, I've got SWAT, you know, you want to keep that. Now, up in the barn, in the medical cabinet, I have another bottle of medicine. It's called Banamine. That is critically important to keep on hand, especially if your horse starts to colic. Very important to keep Banamine. It's B-A-N-A-M-I-N-E. Talk to your vet about it. Lots of vets will go ahead and they will give you a bottle of bute and some Banamine. Not give, but you know, you just tell them that you want some to have on hand just in case there's an emergency. If your horse does start to show signs of colic or gastric upset, you know, a general, depending on the size of your horse, you know, you can administer around 10 milligrams by mouth. You just squirt it in their mouth. Another thing I always keep on hand is WD-40. You would be shocked at how often this is needed around the farm. You know, gates get hung up, latches get hung up, and you can't get stuff out, and I mean, you can't open them, you can't open the snaps, and this is really great to just always have on hand in case, you know, in case you happen to need it. Obviously, I've got fly masks in here. I have hay nets in here that are really good to have on hand. Like if I ever need to take my horses out of the pasture and out of the area during hay season where there is where they're eating hay, and put them in the arena, I have hay nets that I can just, you know, I can put a bale of hay in, and I can put them in the arena. So that's always very helpful. And then in the other I have another area over there that's a tack area, and I have a ton of medical supplies. I have bandages, I have tape, I have all sorts of medical supplies for if they get cut or if they get injured. I've got gauze, I have medical tape, I've got vet wrap. You know, all these things are needed when you have horses. Also a good pair of clippers. If you ever need to clip some hair, and you obviously can't do it with scissors, so you need to have that on hand. So medical supplies, clippers, all your your generalized stuff. Zip ties. I keep zip ties in here because you might break a gate or break a latch or something, or some of your tack might even break, and I keep zip ties on hand just in case I need like a quick tie. And I know this sounds like overkill probably, but listen, I've been doing this for many, 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 many years, and I have found that I have literally used every one of these products. So I don't know, take it or leave it. But these are just things that I have found that I need. They come in extremely handy when you do need them. Obviously, you want your halters, your lead ropes. It's always helpful to have some little hangers. One thing I will caution you all on, and this is something else we learned the hard way. You see these hangers, how they look like that? Okay, they've got these hooks on them. I have seen people put them near horses. This is an area that is horse free. Okay, this is our tack area, this is our trunk area. No horses come through this area. But I have seen people hang these things on stalls so that they can hang their bridles and their whatever. Well, I have seen a horse move their head down and hook the nostril of their nose on this as they're putting their head down, and they've ripped their entire nostril wide open with these things. So if you have these in your barn anywhere, do not put them where there is a horse nearby, because you're potentially creating a very dangerous situation for that horse. And it can happen in just like no amount of time at all. You can suddenly have a really bad accident on your hands. So you just have to think, if you're hanging something up, you need to think, can this harm my horse, and how can it harm my horse? So we always make sure that we keep these things far away from our horses. See, like that right there? All these hooks, a horse could poke their eye, they could snag their nose, they could cut themselves. Another very necessary thing to always have on hand is a hoof pick, okay? So you definitely want that on hand as well. So anyway, that's gonna do it for this particular video. But these are just the things that I have found that are exceptionally helpful to have around when you have horses. All right. Just as a follow-up to that last video, I forgot to mention, I see you, buddy. That's my Berlin out there calling. As a follow-up to what I was just saying about necessities, you also, in your medical cabinet, want to ask your veterinarian for SMZs. That's S as in Sam, M as in Mary, Z as in zebra. They are an antibiotic, and you can leave them in your trunk. That way, if you did need to treat your horse for something, let's say they got a really bad cut or something like that, and you don't want an infection to develop, then SMZs are fantastic to have on hand. So hope that helps.